Welcome back to the Clydesdale Media Podcast. My name is Scott Switzer. I'm the Clydesdale, and I am so happy to have with me our good friend, Kelly Friel, four-time CrossFit Games Masters podium finisher, two-time champion back-to-back. Welcome, Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me back on.
So, for those of you who didn't hear last episode, Kelly and I met. We stayed at the same hotel at the 2021 CrossFit Games, and we met at the grills.
We sure did.
Yeah, trying to eat healthy and grilling up some food that week. I got to ask, did you stay at the same place this year?
We did. And you know what? We did the same thing. We were at the grill.
Nice. We got a little bit closer this year because we actually booked. We've already booked for next year. Like, that's how early we do it, because
Wow.
I don't have to worry about qualifying. I'm just going to cover.
Yeah.
And
so where have
the
you
year
booked?
we met, so we actually have two hotel rooms. We have one downtown, and we have one kind of where we stayed this year, which is about 5 miles outside of downtown.
Okay.
But still only like 5 minutes to the Coliseum.
Yeah. So really close then.
So we're optimistic that we're going to take a whole team next year.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That'd be really
There were
cool.
4 of us this year. We're hoping to double that up next year.
Wow. That'd be great.
Yeah. So you stay at the same hotel. Does that help when you kind of know where you're staying, what you have available to you, all of that stuff?
Yeah. So I think it does, because actually I've stayed at that same hotel the last 4 years. So I stayed there the first year with when I took my family out, and they loved it because it was somewhere where the rooms are quite spacious. There's a pool there, so if the girls wanted to go for a swim, so it really helped knowing the location, for one, what sort of close by, what facilities it has. And it's great because it has like a hob, a microwave, and everything that you generally need in your room. And then the barbecue, or the grill as you call it, just ticks that extra box, and then you can go down, prep your food for like a few days, and yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, what we missed tremendously were 2 things: the laundry facility
Yeah.
and the big refrigerator.
The refrigerators are huge, which is a big thing. The laundry actually this time was bonkers busy. It was so busy. I think one night I went down at 11 p.m. and they were still full. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to find a laundromat, and it wasn't in the best part of town.
Okay.
So we missed having laundry facilities badly.
Yeah.
And our refrigerator was only like yay big.
Oh, tiny.
Yeah, it was bad. The room was huge, but teeny tiny refrigerator.
Yeah.
But so let's dig into this season a little bit. You actually sustained an injury kind of going into the season, even before the Open. And when I was talking to you online, you weren't even sure if you were going to be able to do the Open. It kind of had to fall with the right workouts in the right order.
Yeah. So yeah, I came down off the pull-up rig. I was racing my daughter on a toaster bar, turned to look at the clock. I don't know why, because we weren't in competition, but you just look to see what your time was. And as I looked and came down, one foot went in front of the other. And all I remember is my ankle bone hitting the floor, and then me literally being in a pile on the floor. And my daughter looked across and sort of like laughed, and I was on the floor like, no, I'm not messing here. And then she was like, oh, something's happened. So like one of our coaches came over with an ice pack, and he was like, 1 to 10, like, how much pain are you in? And I was like, a 9. And he was like, okay, she's in pain. So I took a bad sprain to my ankle. I think that was just at the start of February. So like around the 8th or something. And then I just worked with my physio, worked with my coach, did loads of like rehab stuff, so balancing, and was just praying that something like a single leg pistol wouldn't come up in the open, because that was one of the biggest things that I was struggling with. Also things like the jumping, I didn't do any jumping until I needed to during the open qualifiers, and then I was like, okay, well, this is going to be a test. If I get through this stage, then we'll just take each stage as it comes, and hopefully the ankle will just have longer to sort of recover.
Yeah, what's funny is my gym owner, who is a like 7-time regionals athlete, a flag got stuck. He climbed the rope to unhook the
Oh,
flag,
I saw
came
that
down and
online.
landed on a kettlebell and broke his ankle.
Because
Yeah, and so he had to do the open one-legged.
no.
Yeah, he did
Wow.
all the open workouts
Wow.
on one leg.
Because either CrossFit Games posted that video or someone had posted it, and I remember seeing that video and was like, oh, that is so like unfortunate. Do you know what I mean? He's gone up and then come down. Yeah.
Yeah, so my gym's owned by Christy O'Connell and
Oh
her
yeah.
husband Patrick, and it was Patrick
Oh,
who,
it was Patrick.
yeah,
Oh,
but he'd done
ouch.
like every open since 2010 or something, and he's
Mhm.
like, I'm not going to not do it if I can. So he got through it somehow. It was pretty
It was,
crazy.
yeah, I bet.
So you get through the open, and now the Masters have 2 more rounds before you get to the games. I think it's the first year we've done that.
Yeah.
So now you have to do they still call it the age group online qualifier, or do they call it quarterfinals?
I think they named it age group quarterfinals, I think is what they
Okay.
renamed it at.
So when you get to that point, it's only a few weeks after the open. How is your ankle at that point?
Um, it was loads better, but just the range of movement compared to, so if I had I used to love pistols, and to do a pistol, my heel would always be really flat to the floor. Um, and then when I injured it, my heel was coming off, which to me was really uncomfortable, because then I was thinking, am I hitting full depth on a pistol if my heel comes up? And so I was pain free, so to speak, but it wasn't the most comfortable being in that position. But I just had to sort of go on feel on each workout, really.
And you're placing high enough to keep moving on, thank
Hmm.
goodness.
Yeah.
And then you get to semifinals. You have to do another round of workouts. How is it at that point? Do you have some of the flexibility back?
Yeah, so I had some of the flexibility back. Um, but again, it was things like pistols, overhead squat, that whole squatting motion. But I did work loads on, the alphabet, the round the clock, like toe taps and things like that. Banded stuff on my foot. So it definitely got better, but I can still feel a slight restriction in it now. So it's still
Okay.
sort of work in progress.
So the whole time you're going through this, I'm blaming myself because I jinxed you. Last time you were on, I said you were on the same trajectory as Matt Frazier and Tia Toomey.
Yeah.
2 second place finishes and then a win. And so you just needed to put 4 more together
Yeah.
to be on the same trajectory as Matt, and now 5 more to get on the same trajectory as Tia. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I jinxed her. She got an ankle injury, and now she's not even going to be able to compete. But you make it through, you make it to the games, and it's a pretty loaded field.
Very loaded. And also hearing sort of a few other podcasts like Bill Grunder speaking, a very experienced games athlete, of him saying that the 40 to 44 category is one to watch. And it was like, well, okay, yeah, it's a pretty stacked field.
So you have Becca Voigt, the legend.
Mm-hmm.
You have Jen Ryan coming off of competing in the open division on a team last year.
Yeah.
Into the field, and that ends up being the podium. And all weekend, it was kind of up and down as to who kind of had the victory.
Yeah.
So was that stressful all weekend, or did you not pay attention to the leaderboard?
Did you know what? I think because of the year that I had with my ankle, I was like, if I can make it to the games, again, I'm just going to, like I always try and do, is try and go and have fun. Because I just always think I may never make it back next year. So I've got to enjoy every minute. So I thought if I can get there, whatever happens in Madison, happens in Madison. So sort of day one came, we got told the workouts, and I was like, well, they look okay, some in my favour, some not so in my favour. But knowing what the field was like with like Becca and Jen, I knew it was going to be like a fight in certain workouts. And certain workouts, for me, it was all about like damage limitation. So day one came around, and I think I finished second in the first workout. I can't even remember on the second workout, but we were up there. And
you won the second workout.
Pardon?
You won the second workout.
Oh, okay. What's the second one again? I forgot.
The Max Trio.
Oh, yes. Yeah, okay. So that was fun. Yeah, so that was the bike into the strict chin up into the 1 rep max front squat. So I just thought, okay, you've got to take everyone, how it comes. I knew I had the strength on the front squat, but it just depended on what calories you got on the bike and also the chin up. So I came away day one and I was like, do you know what? Mega happy with that. Day two came, and there were a few challenging workouts in there. So just remind me what day two was.
Yeah, day two was not your best day. Day two was skill chipper.
Okay, yeah, that was with
a 5th
ramp.
place.
Yeah.
You had the parallel Elizabeth for second.
Okay, that was fun.
And then you had the mixed mode madness for a 5th.
Mixed mode madness. That was the. Was that the Prowler? Because they changed our days around, didn't they? Because the individuals. Was the mixed mode? Oh no, it wasn't. It was the. What did I come in that one?
5th.
So that was the ring muscle up.
Okay, yeah.
The row and the snatch. Yeah. So I knew that the handstand one with the handstand ramp was going to be a challenging one for me, because my strict handstand push-ups I knew weren't as good as some of the others. Like Jen Ryan is amazing at them. There was another lady, Kadja. She was very good. Becca Voigt is obviously very good at them. So I just thought I've just got to try and hold my own. Then went into Elizabeth. That was fun with the parallel bars, all new to us. So again, everyone chucked in the deep end on that one. And then the last one most probably hurt me the most, I think, from a personal point of view, because as everyone most probably knows, ring muscle ups aren't my favorite movement. But I had been working really, really hard. So in the warm up area, we were all like practicing, and mine felt really, I'm nowhere near like Jen is amazing. When someone's next to you and they're like stringing together 7, 8, 9, and I'm like, oh my God. So I'm happy with my like 4 or 5. So in the warm up area, I was like, these feel really good. If I can do a few sets of that, I might get quite way through my 20 reps. When we were going onto the field, the teams were coming off, and they went, just to pre-warn you, they're being really picky on ring muscle ups. So we were all like, oh, okay, tell us more. And they were like, the lockout position, they're really, really being really harsh. And we're like, okay. So anyway, I went out and I was thinking, wow, I've done them in the warm-up area. As long as I do that, that's fine. Because I'm not really fast when I turn over, I don't like push out and fall out. I'm a little bit slower. However, my judge, let's say, was quite strict, and I think I got 4 or 5 no reps, and then my head just went. So like you had a minute transition time to then it was like snatches and then row. So I could have let that work out because I knew I was going to be placed really, really low in the ring muscle ups. So I could have let that get in my head, but I was like, no, Kelly, come on. You can do this, and no one is taking the snatches off me or the row. I'm going to give it everything. So I just held my head up, looked across to my coach and sort of shook my head. And I think he sort of worried initially, oh no, she's not happy. So I just got on the snatches and went hell for leather, out, finished first, and then on the row I finished first. So because the way they added the scores together, it was like for every ring muscle up you didn't get, they added like 5 seconds. So I had quite a massive gap that I needed to obviously squeeze. And because I finished first with my overall times added together, luckily it only put me in 5th, but I was expecting to come in like in last place. So to keep that in 5th, I was happy-ish.
So you and Jen pretty much battled the whole week, and you're very different athletes,
Yeah.
like exact opposites pretty
Uh-huh.
much. Like you are very power output. She is very gymnasty.
Mm-hmm.
How hard is that mentally when you know that she is going to have events that she's just going to kill everyone at? In your head, do you know, well, my time will come when we get to this? Or do you just have to put blinders on and block that out in the moment?
In the moment, yeah, I would say I try and just block it out and think I have to do as much as I can to have damage limitation overall, rather than think my time will come, because just in case something was to happen in the next WOD, it's like, okay, let's dig as deep as we can and go as hard as we can on something that's not a strong point, but is someone else's strong point, and then just try and keep that gap as close to like Jen as possible.
Yeah, I know when I first started CrossFit, there was a guy, like he was my arch nemesis in the gym, and everything he was good at, I was bad at. And
Yeah.
I remember like in a workout looking at him, and if I can stay within this much,
Yes.
when we get to the barbell, I know I can take him.
Yeah.
And then my goal was just not to beat him in what he was good at, but just stay close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, or is that the thought going in your head?
Yeah.
Or is
Yeah,
it that you want to
exactly.
go even further than that?
No, I would say pretty much that same thought, to think, oh, okay, if there's a workout where it's like you said, got gymnastics first and then maybe the barbell second. I mean, Jen's still amazing on the barbell, but if it's slightly heavier, that might give me a bit of an advantage to think, okay, if I can stay that little bit closer, when it gets to that, I'm going to be even closer to her.
Yeah, I love those the mind games that go through the competition and hearing your thought process as an elite athlete. So then you're going into day 3 and you do not have the lead. You know, I think you're either second or third. I think second.
I think it was second, yeah.
And then you go into the final day and then you just go third, second, first to finish off the week. Walk us through that last day and what your thought process was.
So going into the last day, I sort of like had a chat with my coach and was like, okay, so I'm sat in podium position. One, could I fall off the podium? So, you know, could I fall off like third position? And he was like, highly unlikely, unless you do something drastically wrong in the final day. But if you keep as you are going to end up with some sort of medal. And I was like, okay, that's all I need to know. He said, but, you know, just keep what you're doing. He said, but the prowler workout is going to be a good one for you. So, you know, you should think this is good. However, as you've most probably heard, quite a lot of people talking about the prowler and the heat on that workout. I think out of the 4 years that I've been to the games, that has got to be one of the most mentally challenging and physically challenging workout that I've done out on the Northfield. It was horrendous. And if you would have said to me, out of all the workouts, which one do you think possibly you could have won? I would have most probably put my hand up and said that one, because I love a prowler. I love carrying heavy stuff, and I like a bit of grunt work. So all of that together, that would have been maybe my chosen workout. And halfway through, I was like, okay, I'm not doing too bad. I'm still with Becca. And, you know, you can hear loads of no reps going on around you because, you know, quite a lot of people said they got no rep on wall balls. But the worst thing with my wall ball, when I picked it up, you know, when you get an off-centered wall ball, I picked it up and as I threw it and caught it, it sort of was like, and I was like, oh my God, I've got a shed load of wall balls with an off balance wall ball. I'm really going to have to dig in here and really focus everyone where it goes, because it was just like this angle, that angle, coming down odd. So that most probably didn't help. But the second prowler was the part to finish. Well, I don't know. Like, my brain was all over the place. It was, why is this prowler not moving? And I sort of like looked across and I was thinking, what's everyone else doing that I'm not doing? And I could feel someone was on my tail on like between second and third. And I was like, how are they pushing different to me? So I like looked across. No, they're still doing the same. Arms extended, all out. But then I didn't realize when I finished, everyone was doing the different technique with their head through and then balancing like the square on their shoulders and then pushing it that way. And apparently my coach was going mad on the sideline trying to shout, change your position on the prowler because it may help. But obviously my mind at that point is, it's so hot. I think they measured the temperature on the Northfield that day and they said it was 53 degrees of their like air temperature. So when you've got your head down on the prowler and the heat is coming off the Astro, I was in a world of pain.
Yeah, it was brutally hot that week.
Yeah. Yeah.
For I'm going to cough. Uh, for
Typical.
us in the States, I think that's well over 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like 115 is what they were saying it was.
Wow.
Insane.
Yeah.
Thank goodness the media room was air conditioned.
You had the nice luxury then. But yeah, then they pre-warned us before we went out for that workout. They called us all in and said, under no circumstances, please do not lie down, do not put your hands down, do not kneel down, even if you have leggings on, because they had to send some people off that day with third-degree burns where it was so hot.
That is insane.
Mm.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. Now, was that one Saturday or was that Sunday? I know some
Uh,
things got moved around because of the weather.
that was Saturday morning because they changed us, so it's Saturday morning because then we had the
Okay.
swim and then yeah.
Yeah. I meant Friday or Saturday. It all got messed up, but yeah, you're
Yes.
right. Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And then you got to go to the pool. Um,
Yes.
and that was a fun event. And what I want to ask you about that is
Mhm.
how cool was it that you got to do the exact same event as the open division?
It was amazing. I'm so pleased that they bought something in like that this year. So, not one just because we can compare our scores, but so everyone who goes to the games can do the same workout. And think, I thought it was just such a clever workout. It was really well programmed and so much fun. And what an amazing pool.
Yeah, the one thing the United States has is a lot of pools.
Yeah. We were like, wow, this is incredible. And yeah, it was so much fun. That had to be sort of like one of my favorites since I've been at the games, just because we've never had a pool swim before. And doing it with a ski. I mean, how often can you go to your local pool and go, I'm just bringing them a ski erg and just going to have a little practice? So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it was awesome that they did that this year.
We talked to Lucy Campbell at the end of last week,
Yeah.
and she was a swimmer before she was a CrossFitter, and she says the UK does not have maybe 5 pools that are Olympic size.
Yeah.
And then he goes, you go to this college in Wisconsin and the pool has everything.
Yes.
And they're everywhere.
Mm.
And she goes, it just blows my mind. And now she goes, I know why people go from Europe to the United States for college to swim.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. I mean, just when we walked in, we were like, oh, we've got a warm up pool as well. And that was just, yeah, just so, so nice.
So you took second in that event. It actually was I would call it more of a power output event because of
Yeah.
the ski.
Yeah. So this ski, I mean, it was interesting actually because, every time you got to the end of whatever the calories were, you were just waiting for people's handles to pop up on the ski. And obviously, at that point, I knew I had to stay close to Becca and Jen to stay on sort of like, the podium. So I was like, okay, so, I was you're trying to look to your side to see if they're still in, but at the same time, just try and swim as fast as you can to get back to the ski. And I think it really mattered. It was like the last four, so the last 2 calories and then the last 2 max calories, I would say that's when it hurt and it kicked in. That it was like once you finish the ski, you were like, oh my God, I've got to go back in and swim again. So yeah, it was power, but also as long as you could swim and you had enough time to complete the ski, it was that. But the final ski was definitely, the last two was about a power output with making sure you had enough time to pull as hard as you could.
You consider yourself a strong swimmer?
I'm okay. I'm no Lucy Campbell.
Yeah, not many are.
No, she's like great, like amazing, but I'm not bad. I think the lucky thing that I did is I did get in the pool only about 3 times this year, like before the games, and then my coach was like, "Thank God you went in the pool." It was just to understand the breathing, but by the time I got to my last set of those calories, I was breathing hard and I was in a world of pain to then come out and then try and ski hard.
Yeah, I love that event.
Yeah.
Because I'm a former swimmer, and
Ah,
like for like Lucy, that's the first 4 or 5 rounds are just warm up for her,
exactly.
and so she's not even really digging in for 5 rounds,
No.
and then it picks up. But I just love the design of that event. So then you go into the last event, and I wasn't able to look at the leaderboard. It was a crazy Saturday. Where were you standing going into the last event?
I think I was second.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I was second. Or was I? I was either first or second. I
Okay.
Yeah, it was because this Saturday they obviously squeezed those 3 workouts in. It should have only been 2. Um, I said to my coach, maybe I was first, because I said to my coach, "What do I? Am I gonna fall off the podium here, even if I came last?" And he went, "No." And I was like, "Right, okay." He said, "But what I want you to do is believe in yourself. We've done so much bike work." He said, "You're strong on the bike. You know how to handle yourself on the bike. The burpee box jump overs, they're high and they're just going to be a tick through and they are going to hurt." And he said, "You know that you're strong on a sandbag, that you can just move that." He said, "And then you're done." And I was like, okay, easier said than done. And I was like, oh my God, but what about if I go a little bit too hard on the bike and I get to the burpees and I've burned out? And it was just like, do you know what? You just got to believe in yourself. And I was like, okay. And he said, you're going to come away with a medal. He said, but it does boil down to this last workout and what colour you want to go home with. So that was his last words to me. He said, but just most of all, go and do what you do and have fun. And that was it, really.
And
And that was the last thought in my head.
and you must have had fun because you won that event
I
and then
did.
ended up getting your back-to-back championships.
Yeah. Yeah. Such a fun sprint workout.
So you finish, this is your 4th games,
Mm-hmm.
2 seconds, 2 firsts. How confident are you going into next season?
It's a tough one because everyone always says, oh, wow, you're going to smash the next category, aren't you? Because you're naturally moving up to the next age group. And I, hand on my heart, I always look at the people in the next age group because I competed with quite a few of them in my first games. So 2019. And so, I've seen them over the past years, crossing groups, and obviously we do chat as well on Messenger. It's a hard one. I never feel 100% confident that I'm going to make it, but then maybe that's me, that I should think a little bit more positive and look back what I've achieved and think, you're as fit as the next age group. And if you can do what you've done in this age group in the next age group, then hopefully you're going to have fun in that group as well.
We did get a funny comment from our friend Bruce Wayne, who said that rumor is Lucy Campbell is a mermaid.
Maybe.
So you are aging up. It's going to be a new division for you. A lot of people would have confidence going into that. But it's funny to hear kind of your mindset. And I want to talk about that because I'm interviewing Julie Fouché in like 2 hours.
Okay.
And I was doing some research on her as well today. And she came out with that. It's like the I Am Woman series that they ran at the games. I don't even know if you got an opportunity to see the videos.
No,
but it was like former and current games athletes who were women talking about what it's like to be a female athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And Julie Fouché and her said that being humble doesn't mean you have to beat yourself up.
Yeah. That's a good
And
thing.
that it was a tough lesson for her to learn to not shrink in the moment where people want to praise you and give you glory for what you've done, but just to understand what you're trying to do. And you can be confident in yourself and still be humble. And she said that was a line that she really had a hard time with in her career and didn't learn it until after.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a really sort of good example, because sometimes I do doubt myself, and like my husband's like, come on, Kelly, think more positively, you've come this far, think of taking that then into the next age group. But who knows what they're going to do with the age group, whether they're going to change it back to 20, whether they're going to keep it to 10, whether we're going to go the same process that we did last year, like the quarters, the semis. But yeah.
Yeah. We had Boz on, it all blurs together now,
Yeah.
but he said that the announcements will be either in October or November.
Oh,
They're going to
okay.
have the full season layout. So you should know soon. October's just 2 days away.
I was going to say, yeah, because I turned 45 2 weeks after the games. So I was already an old one in the games.
Yeah. So he said they're gonna have the full rule book out by October, November. He said that on our show. So hopefully we're holding him to that. And we should know everything. The last couple questions I wanted to talk to you about were I saw that you did some training with Sam Briggs and Emma McQuaid.
Yeah.
That had to be a riot.
It was so much fun. So yeah, the week before, we flew to Sam's house. So first time, Sam sort of invited me out last year, but we were still in that sort of COVID situation. So this year she was like, you're welcome to come out again before. It will help reduce your travel costs because you won't have the week before accommodation. So come and stay with me. So we had so much fun, as in nice and relaxed, nice and chilled. When we went to train, we either did our own stuff, or sometimes we jumped in with like Emma's training or with Sam's training. And then me and Annetta one day had or it was one of the regional snatch ladders workout. So me and Annetta were just going to go side by side and just change our own plates. And then Sam and Emma were like, no, it's okay, we're just warming up, we've got a bit of a break, we'll change your plates. And me and Annetta are like, no, it's fine, we'll sort ourselves out. And they were like, no, we'll change your plates. But it was so great because they were so encouraging, and actually we both got to the end of the snatch ladder snatching more than we ever thought we were going to get to. And it was just having them around, the atmosphere, And it was such good preparation, just also getting used to the time difference and everything like that, but in a nice, competitive, relaxed atmosphere.
Yeah, and they are so much fun. The Instagram stuff they were putting up of playing jokes on each other,
Yeah.
and the goofy stuff they do in training, that had to be so much fun. Um, when you're backstage at the games, do you like to be loosey goosey and like having fun with people, or do you get very serious and focused?
No, I'm quite chilled. I sort of like, I would much prefer to have a conversation with someone stood next to me rather than in complete silence. So when they get us in the corrals and stuff like that, it's nice to chat with someone next to you. Or and we had a few new people in our category this year that had just moved up. And first of all, they're a bit like, oh, are we allowed to talk? Are we not allowed to talk? And you could sort of see, the first workout there was like, and then by the end of like the last day, everyone's looking a bit more relaxed with each other. And so, yeah, there's a time sort of like when the clock goes and you get out onto the main floor. That's sort of like my time that, I get my head focused and think, okay, 3, 2, 1, the clock's got, start line, off we go. But when we're sort of being corralled and that, I like to try and stay quite relaxed and quite chilled.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I would get in my own head if I was left to my own thoughts. It's better for me to joke around and have fun. And
Yeah,
then when you get to like the start line, zone it in.
exactly.
Um, so how much trust do you have in your coach?
A lot, yeah, I would say.
The reason I asked that is we had Anna Tobias on 2 days ago. Gosh,
Uh-huh.
it, and she was talking about her husband is her coach. And we were going over her wins when she won the 35 to 39-year-old over Sam and then over Carlene Matthews in the 2
Hmm.
years she won. And I said, you
Oh
won
yeah,
the one by like 130 points, the other year by 95 points. She goes, are you kidding me? My husband told me I had to win the last event or I wasn't going to win and I was that far ahead. And I was like, so I think because he's her husband, he has liberties to do things to get her motivated.
Yeah.
But it sounds like your trust and the way your coach and you interact is way different than that.
Yeah, so he sort of knows how I work. I sort of know how he works. Um, I'm not that type of person where I'm leaderboarding the whole time. As soon as I come off a workout, I need to know where I am. Unless after the ring muscle up, I just said to him, just let me know if I'm in last place. And he was like, okay, we'll check. Once all the scores in, we'll check. And then he came back and he went, no, you came fifth. And I was like, are you sure? And he was like, yes, because you went nuts out on your snatch and row, you managed to pull back quite a few places. So yeah, I think we've got that relationship where he knows what I'm like as a person, as an individual. And I think if he treated me any differently, as in being too serious, um, I think that's maybe then when it could affect like do you know what I mean? My training and stuff like that, because, I still want to enjoy what I do. I just don't want to feel like it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, okay, I've got to go and train today because that's what's on my program. As I want to be thinking, oh, great, I'm training today. What have I got? Okay, I'm enjoying that. I know why he's given me this. Um, so yeah, I think we both know sort of where we both stand.
Um, so your daughter,
Yes.
is she still training and doing the lifting and
Yeah, so one of them the youngest has stopped training. So she's sort of in her last year at school. So she's doing her exams. And then Erin is at college, so she's 17. And she has just been picked for the British weightlifting, I think it's youth team, to fly out to Albania and do the weightlifting. So she's purely focusing on weightlifting at the moment. So she's under sort of like the Team GB for sort of like the youth and up and coming. So yeah, she's really focused on that, but having fun at the same time.
With her at college, you don't get to train as much together?
No. This week I've managed to train with her once, but I was a bit poorly last week, and I don't know if I had food poisoning or picked up a bug. So I hadn't trained for a week. So went and trained with her on Tuesday, and we did some cleans and some box squats. And I'm struggling to walk today. And I said to her, "Are your legs aching?" She's like, "No, Mum, I'm fine." And I was like, "Oh, okay." But it's been good to train with her sort of like the week before I was poorly. We did some snatching and some cleaning. And let's just say she's pretty much overtaken me now on the lifts. So I'm just trying to stay as close to her as possible and get any sort of hints and tips, as well as me watching her. She's watching me as well.
So she's going to be competing. How hard is it as a competitor to watch your daughter compete and not be able to help her and just watch?
Oh, it's hard, especially on weightlifting where you only get those 3 lifts. Her last competition where they were in Greece, again for British weightlifting, I've never seen her fail her first snatch. And on a platform, she hasn't experienced that. So she went out a little bit, maybe not heavier, because her coach had faith in what he was giving her. But in my head, I'm like this. And then she missed her first snatch. And me and my husband were like, "Oh my God." And I was like, this is going to go 2 ways. It's either going to play with her head, or she's going to come out and she's going to nail the second one. Fortunately, she did come out and hit the second one a little bit wobbly. And then her third one looked the best of them all. So it's it's tough watching from a parent, from a mum point of view.
Is it easier to compete yourself?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my last piece is just a little story for you. I have my own Sam Briggs story. This year
Okay.
during the Open, I was doing the open workout with deadlifts and burpees. I look over and in to my gym walks Sam Briggs. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's Sam Briggs. And you wouldn't think I would get too because I've been doing this for 3 years now, and
Yeah.
Christy's my coach and all that stuff. But I was a little fanboying, but I'm in
You're
the
a bit
middle of the open
starstruck.
workout. So I keep going, and then I'm dying because burpees are not my friend. And I'm sitting there with my hands on my knees, and Sam comes over to me and she goes, "The bar's not going to lift itself." And I was like, "You're right." She goes, let's go," and just starts clapping and yelling for me. And it made me move. And
Yeah.
it's like one of the highlights of my life that Sam Briggs came
Oh,
over and cheered me on in an open workout. She is the coolest,
so
and so gracious.
yes. Yeah. And that's exactly how she is in training, like you just said. Oh, the barbell's not going to lift itself.
Yeah,
And that's how she is, and that's what makes it so much fun. But so
yeah.
supportive, like you said.
And when I was done, she came over and like lots of words of encouragement, where she has time to like talk to me as I'm lying on the floor dying. Um, but it was just awesome. She's just a great person. And
Yeah.
we're so lucky to have her in Ohio.
Yes, just down the road.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's awesome. Um, well, Kelly, thank you so much. You're always a joy to talk to. I love having you on, and we'll be rooting for you again next year so you can
Thank
keep
you.
that trajectory going, not to put extra pressure on you,
No,
because we're confident in your abilities.
thank you ever so much. And thank you for inviting me again.
Yeah, thank you, and have a great day.
Yes, you too.